As far as mindset, I think anything we're doing is mindset. Regardless of your industry, regardless of the business you're in, regardless of what it is that you're focused on doing, it's everything is mindset. And as I'm listening to a lot of training, with Grant about sales and about things that that are important for a business to grow, for business to scale. Uh, it's really never about the product. Yeah, there comes a certain time where you obviously have to share about the product and what the product is and why there's value in the product. But it's really all about changing lives. Like no matter how you look at anything you're doing, it's always about solving a problem, creating some sort of a betterment of an individual's life in any aspect, wherever that is, whether it's in a product, whether it's in a service, whether it's in growth, whatever it is, it's really all about being able to get a person to believe what you believe. And I think that if you, no matter what you're doing, that transfer of belief is everything in any industry, especially in ACN, because so many people, could be skeptical, but um, it's really about that transfer of belief, and the transfer of belief can only really happen when there is trust, because it's so difficult to transfer belief and there's no trust. Because we've tried this before. That's why I'm not a big fan of some will, some won't, so what? I I think it's, to a certain degree it works. And I think that what anyone should take away from this cliche, is that don't allow your energy to diminish just because someone isn't interested. I think that's what that stands for. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to leave that person behind. It only means that that person isn't ready for the information, or they're not ready in their life, or they're not willing to make a change. So it doesn't mean cross them off your list, get into an argument with an individual and throw them out, of your circle of friends. It just means it's not their time. Like, Tony did this big training, at the convention about sorting. And he never talk to that person again. And he never mentioned that. And the reason why he didn't mention that is because he always says everything is about timing. No matter what the reason is for someone not getting started, it's all about timing. Now, there are certain things that obviously we have to bring to the table as business owners, right? As believers in ACN, as promoters of ACN. And by the way, promotion is everything. If you're taking notes, write that down. Promotion is everything. If you can't promote what you believe in, it doesn't exist. If you can't promote what you believe works, no one is listening. Okay, so I really want you to kind of put that in the forefront, because promotion equals success. If you cannot promote, and when I'm saying promote, I don't necessarily just say promote an event. I don't necessarily say promote your service. I don't necessarily say promote ACN. I'm saying promote you, promote your lifestyle, promote where you're going, promote where you're headed, promote your direction, promote your goals. Everything is just promotion. And if no one's listening, is because you're not promoting, right? So we always say, get yourself out of the way, but be that person that's promoting, that's creating, this realm of happiness, this realm of success, of people, a place where people can go and reach towards something, right? One of the biggest problems right now is that people have nothing to believe in. because they've been lied to and they've been tricked and they've been duped on almost every aspect of their life. Like, it's so prevalent right now. Like, why do you think people become skeptics? Why do you think people become cynics? Right? Because there's not one individual, there's not someone, with who not just wants respect, but someone who demands respect in how much they've accomplished, that would come over and say, "Hey guys, snap out of this. You can't look at life like this. This is not where you're. This is not your purpose." So they redefine that purpose for the individual, and that's how they get them out of the rut. Right? Tony Robbins says, change only happens in one of two ways, either out of inspiration or desperation. And that's important because we always talk about these things. Like, we want to inspire people, but it depends on the person you're having this conversation with. Right? Some people need to hit bottom. You guys know people like this? Right? They're just not going to move until they're all the way at the bottom. And there's no one there to pick them up. So guess what's left to do? They have to pick themselves up. And they have to say, hey, listen, I'm not going to live like this anymore. It's painful. Right? Most people think it's painful to make a cold call, or most people think it's painful to go and talk to somebody. You know what's really painful? Not having cash flow is painful. Constantly worrying about how you're going to pay for your bills. That's painful. Working a dead-end job, that's very painful. And most people won't admit that to themselves because most people aren't ready to be honest with themselves. And this is where all of this stuff comes through for us, because the ACN business and the model itself allows you to do this personal growth, this coming out of your shell, of this, this really, shining star. It allows you to become that person, and it gives you an unlimited amount of time to do it in. It can be 3 months, it can be a year, it can be 10 years. You can work at your own pace, but if there's an out, depending on how you align yourself, depending on how hungry you are, depending on what you're doing, where you're going, who's surrounding you, is how fast you're going to move in the business and how fast you're going to move out of that place where you don't want to stay, where you don't want to live, where you know you're not going to have happiness. Like, most of us think that not doing a lot of work, or not focusing on something and creating something significant, like, most of us think of that as pain. Like, they're afraid to work, they're afraid it's painful. Like, I don't want to work out, hurts my muscles. Like, yeah, I get it, but that's not, like, if you compare that pain to the pain of being overweight or having any type of a health issue before it gets out of control, right? Or even if it does, like, that's pain. Everything else is not pain. Just we ascribe pain to it because we feel that until our body completely gives out, right? Inspiration or desperation. So where are you coming from to change your life? Like, when do you go to the doctor? When something hurts, or before that happens? Right? This is the problem. And I think this is one of the most challenging things about having any conversation with anyone about any product or service, or even about the opportunity itself. Because most people only start searching for solutions when they encounter a serious problem in their life, whether it's health related, whether it's monetary, whether it's spiritually, whether it's socially, whether it's in their business, whether it's in their family, whether it's in their community. Until they have a problem, nothing bothers them. So this is called complacency, right? This is when we start to diminish our returns. this is when we give up on all of those dreams, on all of those hopes, on all of those beautiful things we talked about and we learned and we wished for when we were young children, right? You guys remember those days? Why did you give up? Because at some point somebody said, hey, you got to stop dreaming, you got to wake up, you got to go do work. Then we start little by little, we start lowering our standards, right? What's Tony Robbins' biggest challenge for everyone? And one of his biggest callings says you have to raise your standards. If you want to change anything in your life, you have to raise your standards. Otherwise, you're conforming, you're complacent, and you're going to stay exactly where 99% of the people are staying, or 90%, whatever you decide. Because I've met people who are very wealthy who are miserable. Like literally everything bothers them. I'm like, dude, you're making a gajillion dollars. What are you worried about? And it's all mindset. You see what I'm saying? It's all about how you conduct yourself. It's all about the people that surround you. It's not just about money. Yeah, money is the byproduct of creating something significant. Money is the byproduct of fulfilling yourself in how you want to live your life, is you becoming a role model for so many other people. This is true success. It's not just the fact that you've achieved a certain status at a university or in your workplace. Yeah, I mean, that's significant, right? It's important because you've worked hard. We all know you have stamina. Fantastic. How are you contributing? What are you doing to better everyone around you? Right? It's not just dog eat dog here, you guys. Those days are long gone. That's been there, done that. We're so far beyond that at this point. So your mindset is going to dictate your conversation. It's going to dictate, your mental health awareness. It's going to dictate everything that you're doing in your life. Because at the end of the day, you have to become a leader. There's no other way out. You have to be the person who's going to come in and do the things, whatever they are. Now, whatever they are for you, you have to determine where success is in your life. What are you aiming for? What are your targets? What are your goals? Are you working on yourself? That most people, and I talked about this, in one of my trainings, and I think it's so important. Most people don't get this. You're not investing in yourself. What is the ratio of entertainment to education in your life? What is that ratio in your life right now? See, how much money do you spend on entertainment and how much money you spend on education, which is your personal growth, your personal development? What's the ratio? And you guys can figure this out. And if, as a matter of fact, that's going to be your homework. You got to figure this out. Because if the ratio is leaning towards entertainment, you're not investing in yourself. You're not growing. Then we're just little kids trying to find the toy. Is this making sense, you guys? Like, this is what I'm trying to get you to start thinking about what's more important. What's the best investment you can make? The only investment when you'll never, ever, ever lose money, you know what that investment is? In your personal growth. You can never, ever spend enough money on personal growth. Because anything, you'll never lose, right? Because whatever you're going to learn from a training or from a seminar or from a convention that you go to, like that stuff is priceless because it's now a part of you. And because it's a part of you, you can now implement it in different areas of your life. Guys, I have people that I've worked with in ACN that were a part of my team that went out to open their own businesses. They call me and they're like, dude, everything I learned in ACN, I'm implementing all of that in my business. And if it wasn't for ACN, I would not have my business. So it's not just the fact that you can come out and do some amazing things here in ACN, which you can. It's a fantastic platform. You can't mess with this platform. That's why all the people that are self-made millionaires and billionaires, they all talk about network marketing. This is the place that you can be a part of something that's bigger than you without having to worry about failure, without having to worry about not having support. See, you open your own business, you fail, guess where all that money goes? Right out the door. You can't make it back. Because you get out there, you invest 10, 15, 30, 100,000 to your business, and in 12 to 16 months, 18 months, 2 years, that business doesn't exist anymore. How much sweat equity did they just take from you? How much real equity did that take from you? How much did you lose? It's impossible to lose in ACN. The only way you lose is if you quit. If you take even 30 minutes a day, which is how I started, and be efficient with it, be effective with it, be 100% engaged, present in what you're doing without any distractions, you can become a senior vice president in this business. I'm telling you that because the people that are focused, the people that know where they're going, and they're effective and efficient in their time use, this is how they get there. It's all about mindset. You guys, let me tell you something. The best way to learn anything is to just keep doing over and over again, right? Repetition is the mother of learning. So if you don't know how to acquire a customer, talk to more people. One of the biggest fears, and I'm going to tell you this, by the way, this goes across board for any business. Most people hate rejection. Can we agree with that? Let me tell you why most people hate rejection. They hate rejection because their pipeline is broken. You know what a pipeline is? But for those of you that don't, I'll explain to you. Your leads, your prospects, people that you're going to talk to about business, people you're going to talk to about becoming a customer. Here's a scenario for you. If you have 1,000 people on your list, whether you know them, you don't know them, it's irrelevant. 1,000 people on your list or 25 people on your list. See the difference? You have 1,000 people pipeline and a 25 people pipeline. How much would you fear rejection if the first 50 people that you call said, I'm not interested? Would that bother you at all if you have a list of 1,000? No. But you know what? The 51st person you call, you're much more confident because you already know the script. You know what to say. You know some of the objections, right? You know how to handle those objections, right? Handling objections is not selling someone. It's helping that person through the process of understanding what you're offering. That's what handling objection is. It's like, well, I don't have enough money. Handle the objection. Is it really about money? Ask the person questions. Have you had this? Has this been a problem for you? Are you looking to make more? Is not having enough money, an issue for you? What's it costing you? Is it costing you and your family not to take a vacation when you want to? Is it costing you not to be able to go out and order food out? Is it costing you to start looking at everything you're buying and finding things on sale? Are those things a problem? Are those things, do you believe that those things are challenging the way you live your life? And would you like to change that? You see, I'm not talking about ACN. I'm talking about a lifestyle. I'm talking about a human being who wants to become better, right? And they just don't have the vehicle. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to do it. So we're the light that's going to come in and say, hey guys, we have this beautiful system with the most amazing people, right? With a great compensation plan. If you put your effort into it, 100% effort, you can take 15 minutes out of the day, 30 minutes, an hour, whatever you can spare, you can create something significant for yourself. I don't care if you join. It's not important to me. It's got to be important to you. This is where this is what starts to become bigger than you, right? So it's How do you approach that individual? What do you say? How do you talk to them? So this pipeline situation is why we hate rejection so much. See, when I say no to you, it doesn't hurt you. You make it hurt because your pipeline is broken. There's not enough people to talk to. And when that's not a problem, I can say to myself, if I have a list of 1,000 people and I continue add to this list, everywhere I go, I make it a purpose. I network on purpose. I do these things on purpose. I intentionally meet new people. I intentionally reach out to new people. I don't say, hey, are you interested in making money? I've never met you before. I don't do that. Some people may, I just don't do that. If you're that type of an individual, you can go ahead and do that. I'm not saying it's wrong. I just don't think that that works as well as if you create the relationship with a person and truly care about what's happening in their life, and they say, hey, I'm doing really well. I'm a banker, or I work in a bank, or I'm a CPA, or I'm this professional, or I work at this company for someone, and I'm doing this and I'm doing that. And you can continue to start asking these questions, and you continue to stay in contact with that individual to create a relationship. Because once you build a relationship, they begin to trust you. And then you begin to trust them. And in the conversation, if you're mentioning, hey, listen, we're having this, I do this, I do something part-time. I don't know if it's going to be something for you, but you mentioned that you're not generating enough money, or you mentioned that you love to have fun and you're really outspoken, or you mentioned to me that you love to help other people, or you mentioned to me that you love divulging into details of everything and just completely break everything into little pieces. There's a place that I think you would love so much. You'd meet the same people just like you, like-minded individuals that are going somewhere, that are growing somewhere. We're having a little event about the overview of what this business is about. Come check it out. I think it might be just what you need. I don't know if it is, but I think it could be. And at that point, it doesn't sound like you're selling. It doesn't sound like a solicitation. It doesn't sound like you just wanted to talk to him because of to her, just to get them into the business. You've actually created a relationship, and they may say no. So what? Continue to have a conversation. When a person's life changes and they're not anticipating that, they're much more open, right? When they get fired from a job and they can't find the job, or where their business takes a quick downturn and they're not expecting that, they're much more open, because guess what? They've got mouths to feed, right? They got to feed themselves. They got to put a roof over their head. So all of these things start to come up. So as you're having these conversations, the bigger your pipeline, the less you're worried about rejections. It doesn't matter who says no. Like, the reason why some of the senior vice presidents and regional vice presidents in our company, the reasons why they're so successful, and when they can talk, and they say they can talk to anybody, and it's true they can, is because their pipeline is the world. You get that? Their pipeline is everybody who they meet and they get in contact with. They don't, initially they could have made a list, but at this point, that list is thousands and thousands of thousands of people. Right? And they can talk about ACN at any point in their life, at any point. And the reason why they don't care about rejection is because they never have a problem with the pipeline, because they can go talk to anyone. You know why they can talk to anyone? Not because they're an SVP, because they have not worried about what someone is going to think about them. They're not worried about someone saying no. They're not worried about, they're not fearing that rejection. They're truly interested in creating something significant in that person's life. They're giving them the opportunity. You're giving them the opportunity to work with you. I need to get this, because most people don't understand. You think that you're dragging somebody into this business. I'm telling you, you're giving them a way out of the system. See the difference? It's not about you getting somebody in. It's about you getting somebody out of what they believe is normal, of what they believe is okay, or of what they believe is a norm in society. And all that is conformity. All that is getting complacent. All this is giving up your dreams, right? Ask people in their 30s and 40s. Go ahead, if you know some friends, and say, are you living the dream life that you've always wanted? And I'm telling you that a significant portion of those people will say no. Because at some point in their life, whether somebody came in, whether they did something and failed, whether they looked at so many people around them that were failing and they decided to take a safe route out, and this is where they are. So how do you shake them up? How do you get them to look at this information? How do you get them to open up to you, right? Especially if it's people you don't know. Well, you have to build a relationship. You have to build a trust factor. There has to be a trust factor to, you know, to share the belief, right? Because that's all we're doing, just transferring and sharing the belief. It's like, hey, if I believe in something so seriously and so strongly, and I'm having a conversation with someone, it's all pouring out of me. I don't have to convince that person that I believe in what I'm doing. If you have to convince someone, then you're not doing it properly, right? Then you truly don't believe. You're not 100% in. You got to be 100% sold. You got to be sold on your idea. You got to be sold on the way of life that you want to have. You got to be sold on the fact that you're going to be more than everyone else. You got to be sold on the idea that you're the leader. There's nobody else, guys. There's no one else leading you. Can we agree right now the world needs some leaders? It's insane what's happening. How many competent leaders can you truly name? Whether it's globally, whether it's statewide, whether it's in your municipalities, whether it's in your communities, like true leaders that people follow. Like, yeah, we can stand behind that guy 100%. Right? That's what you want. That's what you want in your life. You have to be that example. You know how simple that is to do? First of all, leaders aren't born. Get that out of your head. True professionals are not born. They're trained. Yeah, you can be born with a crappy attitude towards other people. You can be born with some weird things that are happening in your childhood. But guess what? The second you're conscious of what it is that you're doing, and you see other people doing other things, and you can comprehend on all of your, on all of your cognitive levels about the fact that you're not doing as well as that individual, you can make a decision to become better. You can make a decision to change. How scary is that for most people? Very. Most people hate change. They don't want to change because of their complacency. They'd rather they'd just rather continue hurting. Right? Here's a great little parable that I'm not sure if you heard. If you have, I'll tell it anyway. Hopefully you get something out of it anyway. So there's a really old shepherd, and he's just sitting on a porch of his house, and he's got and he's got his friend dog with him, who's been with him for ages. Dog is super old, right? He's barely moving, but he's still his dog, so he loves his dog, and he's sitting and he continues to moan and groan. So his neighbor walks by, for the nth time, obviously, and he's like, listen, I don't mean to pry, but what's up with your dog? Now, every time I walk out here and I see you sitting, your dog is moaning and groaning. What is going on with your dog? If you take it to the doctor, what's happening? So the shepherd says, oh, that's easy. I wish you had asked me that before. He's like, well, what's the wrong with your dog? He says, he's sitting on a rusty nail. So the neighbor says, that doesn't make any sense. Why doesn't he move? And the shepherd goes, it doesn't hurt enough. You guys get that? It doesn't hurt enough. And that's what's happening to so many people because they're not hurting enough, they're not going to move. So until the pain of staying the same isn't greater than the pain of change, you're never going to change. The pain of staying the same has to be greater than the pain of change for you to actually change. So some people, inspiration, other people, desperation. And this is where that parable comes into play. So most people don't realize that. So the leadership aspect is obviously all about mindset. And the leadership aspect in your life is not just leadership aspect in ACN. Because when you take full control of everything that you're doing in your life, you'll start to notice a lot of things start to change. And you are not going to have much control over that. It's just what's going to happen. It's like an inevitable change. And instead of running after people, you're going to start to attract people. Instead of finding people that you want to be in your business, they're going to find you. And right now, with social media, with everything that's available right now for you to go and promote your brand, whatever that brand is. You want to brand ACM? Rock and roll. You want to brand Matrix? Let's go for it. Do it. Brand yourself as the person who is the guy or the gal that decided or made a decision to step out of their conformity, step out of their circle of friends, of their environment, of their job, of their business, and move up because you're raising your standard. Your standard has to get higher. You have to raise your standard because the standards at this point are so low. Like Les Brown says, most people don't shoot, don't shoot high enough and miss. They shoot low enough and hit. They don't set their goals high enough because they're afraid they're not going to hit. So they lower their standards just because they can hit that target, right? It's aim for the stars, you guys, then maybe you'll hit the moon, right? It's like, why not make a plan to go out and make $10 million instead of 100 grand? Like if you're gonna commit to doing something, right? Like why not commit to make like a stupid amount of money that can never even enter your mind, like $1 billion, right? And then you try to figure out what people that are doing, that are making that money, what are they doing? How are they doing it? I guarantee you the principles are all the same. Consistency, being able to be disciplined, responsibility, accountability, all of those things, they're all the same. But imagine if you shoot for $1 million and you make 800 grand. Yeah, you missed the target. How does 800 grand sound? Pretty good, right? Same amount of time as you would have put into making 200 as you put into $1 million. But you're thinking bigger, you're thinking different, you're expanding your thinking. This is what's so great about ACN because you can expand your thinking so quickly here. Right? I'm not just talking about positions. I'm talking about you, how you're conducting yourself, how you're shaking hands, how you're creating relationships, how you're approaching people. Master communicator, right? That you have to become a master communicator. You think that people that go out there and acquire customers and build their teams, they don't know how to talk? Guys, at first they don't, because at first no one knows how to talk. I had no idea what I needed to learn when I got involved with this company. Like I had no clue, but I knew I needed to learn the ACN language. So I listened to trainings from different senior vice presidents and regional vice presidents, and Larry Raskin and our mentor Byron Nelson and Max Knowles and some of the people that aren't even with the business anymore. But I just wanted to learn this language so I can own it, so I can own that space, right? Larry Raskin says, own the space you occupy. But you gotta own this space. So if you're new, I get it. It's totally cool. But just start planning start putting things on paper, start setting goals for yourself, start setting little targets for yourself so you're not left behind. Don't get left behind. There's so many people we're trying to drag with us, right? Byron Nelson always says, easier to run with 3 than to drag 1,000. Like, that's so good. It's so important. Find the people that'll run with you. Don't worry about the rest. They'll catch up. Because if you're a leader, then you need to set some standards. And if you set low standards, and this is great, you guys ready? You set low standards, you're gonna lose the winners. But if you set high standards, you lose the losers. Does that make sense to you guys? So you're gonna start attracting the people that are the caliber that you are looking to become. Right? There's two people. I don't want to say people. There's usually two types of role models that we have. Right? One of those role models is the person you want to be like. You just love where that person is in everything, right? In the fact that they're fit, they're strong-minded, they're responsible, they're accountable. They control their words. They know exactly what to say, when to say, how to say it. They're good to look at. They're pleasant to be around. They have a goal. They have a dream. They're working on that goal. They're working on that dream. They have a team. They have a place that they do things. They have integrity and all those different things, right? That's everything that everybody wants to be. Well, maybe not everybody. I don't know. I don't know what your goal is. I mean, I don't know who your role model is, right? So this is what we always want to gravitate. Find someone, whether it's in ACN or another network marketing company or just somebody who is a successful business owner, model that individual and read about that person. Find out how they got there, what they needed to do. I promise you that 99.999% of the time, that person did not come from money. 99.999% of the time, that person is self-made. They just made a decision. They just committed. So I'm not backing down. I'm never going to stop doing this. I'll do it if it kills me. I'll climb that mountain. You're either going to find me waving from the top or that at the bottom. Right? That's just that's just their level of commitment to their goal, their level of commitment to their life. And this is not just to themselves, you guys. You got to keep in mind, because some of you have families, some of you have friends, some of you have people that are important to you, right? Your commitment to become better is not your commitment, just a commitment for you. It's also a commitment to them. Like, how amazing would it be that you and your spouse can go anywhere, anytime, with your kids, without your kids, and never have to worry about income? What would life be like at that point? So it's your commitment to your family, it's your commitment to your kids, to your parents, to whoever it is you're committed to, whoever is in your, whoever these people that you're your closest, right? It's the same commitments. It's not just to you. Now, and it also gives you a whole bunch of accountability, right? You have accountability partners. Hey, you said you were going to do this. How are you doing with that? I want to be with that person that keeps me accountable, because if I said I'm going to do something, I'm going to do something, because all you are is your word. It's all you are. You are your word. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And one of the reasons why you value someone's opinion, or you hold them in high regard, or you believe that that person is a role model, is because they have integrity. It's because they do what they say they're going to do. That's how they got to where they are. So no matter what you're doing, whether you're networking or acquiring a customer, or caring for that customer, or supporting that customer, or supporting your IBO, or supporting your business partner, or inviting somebody to an event, just do what you say you're going to do. If you've made the commitment, allow people to know that you're a man or a woman of your word. And if you are, you'll start to see the type and the caliber of person that starts to get attracted to you. Until we're all looking for A players, yes or no? And we're all looking for A players. Now, let me tell you why C players are better than B players. B players pretend they're A players, but they don't have integrity. C players just want to be like A players. They don't pretend. They just don't have enough